Welcome to the Lean Blog Podcast. Visit our website at www.leanblog.org. Now, here's your host, Mark Graban.
Hi, this is Mark Graban, and welcome to episode 328 of the podcast. It's January 15th, 2019. I paused because I almost say 2018. We're into the new year. Welcome to the first episode of the year. We've got a lot of great episodes coming up over the next month or two, and I'm sure throughout the year. To give you a preview of some upcoming episodes, I've interviewed Christoph Roger, a professor from Germany, who's going to talk about his grand tour of Japanese auto plants. We'll talk with Jason Burt about his experience getting coached by Toyota and their TSSC organization. We'll talk with Dr. Eric Dixon, the CEO of UMass Memorial Medical Center, about their lean journey and how they engage employees, try to engage everybody in continuous improvement. We'll talk with Jean-Marc Legentel and Marc-Olivier Legentel about their book, The Toyota Kata Memory Jogger. And I'll also soon be recording an interview with Mike Eisenberg, the director and producer of an upcoming documentary called To Err is Human about patient safety. So we'll have a wide range of topics, a lot of really interesting guests, and I look forward to what else is going to come here in 2019. So if you haven't already, I hope you will subscribe to the podcast. You can find the library of all of our past episodes in the podcast feed, or you can go to www.leancast.org. So I want to tell you about today's episode. My guests are Bette Gardner and Jeff Heil. They're from a company called Breakthrough Learning. Now, Bette is the creator of a fantastic simulation called Friday Night at the ER, which I got to experience last year. I blogged about it in December, and if you want to find a link to that blog post and more information, you can go to the page for this episode, leanblog.org/328. Now, when we recorded the webinar, at the time, Bette was CEO. She's the founder of the company, not just the creator of the simulation. And Jeff was the COO. But recently, they announced that Jeff is taking over the CEO role. Now, they are, as they mentioned in the episode, mother and son. So again, I mentioned we're going to have a father and son team in a future episode. Today, we've got a mother and son talking about the use of simulations. What was Bette's inspiration for creating this? We'll talk about systems thinking and healthcare improvement. And we'll talk about how the simulation is used by organizations in all sorts of different industries as a way of demonstrating, learning to articulate and apply systems thinking principles. And I think there are, of course, very strong connections to Lean, as Bette and Jeff agree. So thank you for listening, and here is today's episode. Well, Bette and Jeff, thank you for being guests on the podcast. How are you today?
Great, Mark. It's great to be here.
Yeah, doing well, Mark. Thanks for having us.
So I know you both have a lot to share today, and maybe we can start off. I always like to let guests introduce themselves. Bette, if you could start off and tell the listeners about yourself and some of your career path and background to start.
Sure. Well, early in my career, I worked in healthcare policy analysis and socioeconomic research for maybe 5 years. Then I spent about 10 years in hospital management and healthcare system development before then becoming a consultant. So we're going back over quite a history here, 30 plus years. But I founded the company Breakthrough Learning to focus on the development and use of innovative team learning tools that could produce breakthrough results. And Friday Night at the ER has become our flagship product.
And that's going to be our main topic of conversation. We'll hear about the story and how it's being used and how you created that. And we're also joined by Jeff Heil. Jeff, can you likewise share a little bit about your career background and story?
Yeah, Sure. So I have a design background. I worked on various products and interfaces in my first few years after college. But for the last 5 years, I've been focused on breakthrough learning and the Friday Night at the ER product specifically. Um, I don't know if you know this, Mark, but one major reason I got into this work at Breakthrough Learning is that this is a family business. Bette is actually my mom.
I did not know that.
And so this was an opportunity as I was beginning my career. Bette was looking to take her 25-year-old product to the next level. And I was interested in helping her modernize and improve it and eventually manage the business, which is what I do today as COO.
All right, well, great. So we'll come back to a little bit more of how you got involved in the company, other than the family background. We'll come back and touch on that. But Bette, can you? It's a really interesting story. I've read it. I'd like to hear you tell the story, and we'll go back and forth about it a little bit. The story about creating Friday Night in the ER, the origins before the product and the company came to be.
Okay, sure. Well, Friday Night at the ER had its origins, as Jeff mentioned, more than 20 years ago. And it was really the result of several threads in my work coming together. For one, I wanted to find a way to help people bring systems thinking into practice in organizations. At that time, the knowledge and the ability to apply systems thinking resided almost entirely within academic institutions, business schools and such. And I felt strongly there was a need to spread the capability broadly, in particular to leaders and emerging leaders in organizations and in communities. So that was one thread, a compelling purpose I had to broadly help people apply systems thinking. Now, during this time, my consulting work included an engagement at a hospital where their emergency department was frequently overwhelmed. They were having to tell paramedics to bypass their hospital very frequently because they couldn't seem to handle demand. So in that role, I spent time with a team of stakeholders. I created a computer-based simulation model of patient flow at that hospital and beyond it that allowed us to test lots of ideas and learn where in their system, the system of emergency care at that hospital as well as beyond, where were the leverage points. And it turned out that it was a powerful learning experience. We learned that just 3 adjustments were needed that would, in fact, dramatically improve performance.